Brew, who has the upper hand here?
Well, first, I got to be honest. He looks ecstatic
to
be
getting
rid of Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
I mean, to get him out of the building, he looks overjoyed. But, look, I think both teams need to get this done. All right? But if I have to pick one that has the most leverage, I'm going to go with the Packers. Because let's go nuclear option, right? And say it doesn't happen. Okay. Green Bay, it's going to be uncomfortable. You bring Aaron back for training camp. And I think, Nick, it's unusual in the NFL. But I would imagine they might just say, go away until we can get a trade for you. You get your money, but go away.
Jimmy G style.
Going with Jordan Love. It'd be that kind of thing. The Jets, it would be a lost season. Another lost season because there's no option out there. Jimmy G's gone. Derek Carr's gone.
Even Mike White's
would it be
gone.
Zach Wilson? I don't know what they do. You would waste your defense for another year, which is a good defense. You would waste those young, talented players you have on offense. So it would be the worst for the Jets. But, Nick, if I'm the Jets, I'm still not, giving up that 13th pick. And if I'm Aaron Rodgers, obviously I assume he can talk with the Jets, right? They've been talking. He should tell them, look, don't give up the 13th pick. They're going to draft a lineman, offensive lineman with that pick. He needs protection. So he should be wanting them to wait. Only way I do this before the draft, Nick, is if the Packers will accept, a second round or later round pick. I'm not giving up the number 13 pick. Deadline, I feel like, Wildes, for the Packers.
Yeah.
When the mandatory workouts begin, was that mid-June, right? Sometime in mid-June. Packers, it could be they could benefit from waiting until after June 1st.
But then they don't get a player from this year.
Well,
in this year's draft.
Okay, but so they got to decide which one is better for them. I'm just saying, if I'm the Jets, I'm not giving them up this first rounder this year.
Okay, well then you don't get Aaron Rodgers.
Really?
If I'm the Packers, what do I say? I'm like, okay.
Okay, have
then you
fun
don't get
with
Aaron
him
Rodgers.
in camp.
Okay, have fun
for $60 million.
Have fun with Zach Wilson.
What are you gonna do in camp?
Who am I?
When Aaron Rodgers shows up,
same
walks
thing we
in
always
like
do.
he did last year,
You know
looking
what?
like some actor or whatever.
Head to your locker. It was Nicolas Cage, and he looked beautiful.
And you're gonna bench him.
No, I'm not gonna. I'm saying, hey, looks like we have an open quarterback tryout.
Yeah,
what are you gonna do at your camp with Zach Wilson, who you publicly embarrass every chance you get?
We brought in skilled position players. We improved the offensive line.
Okay.
Let's see what Zach got.
This is am I allowed to jump in? I know you're freezing.
You're back on.
I'm back on. Okay, out of the penalty box. This is the sports version of mutually assured destruction, right? They both desperately have to get this done. And so the idea that the Jets have no leverage, when the Packers don't want him in the building, when the Packers are trying to turn things over to Jordan Love, when the Packers have said the only way he would be back is if things have gone wrong, both teams need this done. And so, and furthermore, I don't know that Aaron Rodgers is doing an offseason either way. So the idea that the Jets have to have this done ASAP, why? I don't think Aaron Rodgers is showing up to OTAs for
mandatory
either team.
Ones?
Well, mandatory, but that's after the draft.
Right.
The Packers have the first deadline here. The Packers need this done before the draft. The Jets don't. The Jets, I would assume, would prefer it be done after the draft. Now, do I think they're going to give up this year's first-round pick? I don't. But I do think I have a trade that works. But first, before I even show it, let's give some context here. Matt Ryan, last year, coming off a terrible season, went for a third-round pick, and everyone agreed they took less than they could have gotten because they were trying to do Matt a bit of a solid, send him somewhere where they thought he could succeed, didn't work out. Carson Wentz, when Philly was done with him, went for a third and a first. Then,
he was younger, though.
Okay, but then when Indy was done with him, Carson Wentz went for a third and a second. A third that could turn into a second, and it did. The idea that there are a third and a third, it could have turned into a second. The idea that Rodgers is going to go for just a third-round pick is nonsense. So what about this? We will give you our second-round pick this year and a third-round pick the following year. That becomes a second-round pick if the Jets make the playoffs and a first-round pick if they make the Super Bowl. So you are getting a 2 and a 3 minimum. If the Jets make the playoffs, you get a 2 and a 2. If the Jets make the Super Bowl, you get a 2 and a 1. If the Jets make the Super Bowl, they are not going to care about giving up the 31st pick next season.
That's right.
They'll be happy about it. And that would be, to me, in line. So I think that's where this is going to land. But it is the Packers, not the Jets, that need this done before the draft. The Jets just need this done before August. That mandatory minicamp's 3 days. They need this done before training camp, not anytime soon.
But you would like to get him working with your young receiver.
I don't think he's going to.
But for the if they trade him before the mandatory.
So for 3 days.
And look, he could try to work it out where he doesn't have to show up. But if he does that, then look, they got to trade for him regardless. But then I'm like, because if I'm the Jets, I'm thinking this about Aaron Rodgers. I'm thinking, okay, the way the Packers are sending you out is, for a guy of your caliber, one of the top 5 quarterbacks arguably of all time, and they can't wait to get you out the door, and you're only a season removed from an MVP, I'm thinking I'm getting an Aaron Rodgers that is like, okay, I'm going to show them. Yeah. Oh, and I'm following Brett Favre. You know what? I'm going to do what Brett Favre didn't and get you to the playoffs or further. Like, I'm thinking getting Aaron Rodgers that wants to come out and work with our young guys and have a tremendous bounce-back season.
Maybe. Well, I know you did Wentz and you did Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
You didn't do Russ. Russ, 2 firsts and 2 seconds. Stafford, 2 firsts and a third, and you have to eat Jared Goff's salary.
All those guys are younger, though.
Well, hold on. But wait. The Stafford thing's misleading.
60 million.
Stafford went for a 1 and a 3.
Okay.
And then the other first-round pick was to take on Jared Goff's salary. Okay. Stafford, the Russ,
but still ones.
Absolutely, but the age is a factor, and the fact that those were not guys that the teams desperately wanted to get rid of. The Seahawks did not desperately want to get rid of.
What are you talking about? Yeah, of course they did.
Not
get
like
rid of
this.
Russ?
It wasn't quite.
No,
we were talking about Russ. We were on Zoom. We were talking about Russ wanted out.
I understand that Russ wanted out. This is where the Packers have made it clear they also are done with this. Yep. This is the part that I don't get from the perspective that a lot of people seem to believe, which is that the Jets have no leverage whatsoever in this. It is a ruined season for both teams if this doesn't get done. The Packers
Is it completely ruined for the Packers? If they send Rodgers away, like Jimmy G style, you don't think they would do that?
I don't think you can do that.
Why not?
I don't think, because he's not Jimmy G. I don't think you can say.
They're going with Jordan Love.
I do not. Hey, listen. If you guys think it is as simple as, here's our plan. We're the Green Bay Packers. We're coming off a very disappointing season after being Super Bowl contenders the previous 3 years. Our plan is to have our highest paid, biggest cap hit player and the most talented quarterback we have on the roster currently to not play for us and to get no compensation for it. You think that is, in a public relations perspective, acceptable to the fans?
Can I pitch you something else?
Yeah.
So we don't think the Jets have a ton of leverage, and we've heard that Woody Johnson is a little bit impulsive. What if there's a certain point where he gets done with the Packers? I'm like, you know what? Call Lamar. Call Mrs. Jackson.
Oh.
Let's see. Well, let's kick the tires on the Lamar deal.
Well,
you know what? It's Matthew Stafford. The Rams seem to be shedding salary. Let's see what Stafford. And so they get a little bit of leverage. All of a sudden, you know what, Lamar deal, let's do it. Our defense is young. We're only going to have a 2-year maximum runway with Aaron Rodgers. Why not have Aaron Rodgers for the next?
They should call him anyway. I mean, honestly,
a little bit of leverage.
And I'm not even talking about what I said last week, like move off Rodgers and go for Lamar. They should call him for leverage, for what you said. Let it get out there publicly that they're talking about Lamar Jackson.
And then Mark Murphy would stop laughing.
Guys, they hired Nat Hackett and they signed Alan Lazard.
Oh my God! We can't do it. We can't get Lamar Jackson. We got Alan Lazard.
Guys,
what about Lazard's feelings?
Wait a moment.
Right. Wildes is right though.
He is not right. Guys, are we operating in the real world of what we know is happening or what you think would be smarter? If we all agree Lamar would be a better option, don't we all also agree the Jets have made their choice? That the Jets have made their choice that Aaron Rodgers is playing for them. They hired his buddy to be their offensive coordinator. They signed the only wide receiver that he has history with that was available, and they'll probably sign Randall Cobb at some point. I don't think they're worried about Randall Cobb signing elsewhere. I think they're like Cobb and Mercedes. We can wait. They'll be available. The Jets are all in on it, and the Packers are all out on it. So the point I'm making is Both of these teams are driving down this path, and they both know that the other person is eventually this is getting done. The point that I am trying to make is the Jets don't have a hard and fast deadline for this to help them this year. The Packers do. It is the draft. It is greatly in the Packers' interest to have this done before the draft. For the Jets, they just need to get it done before August. The Packers have to get it done before May, or they get nothing for him this year.
Little bit of echo of Kyle Shanahan. You know, Jimmy did great for us. We were saying goodbye. Jimmy G saying goodbye. Next thing I know, Jimmy G behind center, taking snaps, getting W's.
Getting W's, that's right.
That Jimmy G had no suitors. The Jets have already built a house for him. The Jets have, like, you guys, I don't understand. I don't understand.
It's not
All
done.
I'm saying, make a call. You're right. Make the call to Lamar. Just make it. Just for leverage. Leak
Act
it.
like Lamar came available
That's all we're
today.
saying.
He's been available the entire time. They made their choice. What are you guys
They
talking
have
Bad
made
choice.
their choice, but
You want them to go back because you think it's smarter, but they're not going to do it.
I'm just saying, even if they're totally still in on Aaron, which they are, make the call. Let it leak out there.
Leak it out. I'm leaking it right now.
Okay.
They did call.
Okay. You know what? They should call this
They
guy.
might have.
Do you believe in Cam Newton?
No.
Okay.
All right, look, Cam looks great physically. All right, he looked great physically 2 years ago. And this is not a couple years ago when it was like, man, nobody's giving Cam a shot. Why don't they give him a shot? The GOAT gave him a shot. With a top 10 defense. That defense in New England was ranked 7th in the league in scoring defense. And Cam went 7-8 and threw 8 touchdowns and 10 interceptions in 15 games. Then Carolina, his old team, picks him up the next year, right? That Carolina team went 5-7, I believe, with other quarterbacks. With Cam starting, they went 0-5. He threw 4 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. I get it. Cam is 34. He's not even 34 yet. He'll be 34 in May. Mm-hmm. He's looking at Tom Brady play till he's 45. He's looking at Aaron Rodgers about to turn 40 and still playing and wanted by other teams. And he's saying, man, and I know he looks good in the weight room and he probably feels good. And he may throw well at the pro day. But Cam is not, I'm sorry. He's not going to be a starter in the NFL today.
He's not going to be a starter. Doesn't mean he can't win a championship. Listen, once upon a time I agreed with Cam when he was kind of searching for a spot and he's like, I'm not one of the 32 best. I thought he was. I don't know that he is now. I don't know that there is. If I were running all 32 teams, I'd have to go one by one by one. But is there any one of those teams that is starting someone that I would say, you know what, I'll start Cam instead of?
No.
I mean, I understand he's better than probably some of the rookies or super young guys, but you're doing that to see what they turn into, right?
Yeah,
and
I mean, it's different.
I don't even know if he is.
Maybe, but still.
Brew would probably say the worst starter in the league is Baker Mayfield. As far as a guy who has a starting job, I think Baker's got more upside at this point than Cam.
Yeah, you want to see
what he's got. However, that doesn't mean his career's got to be over. Cam, come to Kansas City.
Oh.
It makes
wow.
perfect sense.
You need receivers.
He's not going to cost a lot of money. And the Chiefs did, I'm not certain, I'll have to check the final standings, but I think the Chiefs did just fine without receivers this past year. I'll have to see if we have any more banners to hang.
Juju.
No, I like Juju just fine, but again, I'm not going to, we could just replay segments from last summer. What are the Chiefs going to do without Tyreek Hill? What are they going to do without Juju? Let's talk about Cam for a second. The Chiefs won't run quarterback sneaks because Mahomes hurt his knee on it years ago. Mm-hmm. Cam is great at that. Anything is possible. Chad Henne, who has been a great backup quarterback for the Chiefs, helped him in 2 different playoff games. He retired. Cam Newton, as a spot starter, if God forbid something were to happen to Patrick Mahomes, is to me not a disaster. And unlike other backup jobs, you could build a package for him. A goal line and short yardage package where Cam Newton is taking the snap instead of Travis Kelce or Blake Bell, who they have running the quarterback sneaks. And it's the one thing he doesn't have is a ring. Why would he not do it? He and Odell can house shop together. It'll be great.
That's not a bad idea.
It's a great idea.
But here's the thing. I don't know. Now, maybe in Kansas City, where obviously Mahomes is completely entrenched, But you don't want Cam needs to stop doing stuff like this.
Oh, but there
the
would be
last
no-
thing a team wants is a celebrity
No,
backup
but he's not-
quarterback.
Mahomes, it doesn't matter.
I get
With
it, and that's
Mahomes,
why
it
it might
doesn't
work. But
matter.
if I'm even Mahomes and the Chiefs, I don't need all this.
Oh, come on.
No,
Just
he
be
was
there
fine.
and
He went-
score when we
but
put
he
you at
did
the
that.
goal
He was like a perfect leader in New England, and he was Mac
he
Jones.
was the starter.
Yeah, but even when he was like battling with Mac Jones, which he eventually lost, that he was still
Wildes.
perfectly.
I know it. Go ahead.
Nah,
Well,
I
this
don't
is
need
my
that
thing
from
I
my
think is
back.
bizarre to your statement. One, I think it's just odd as a Chiefs fan. You're going to be like, hey, Patrick, come to the
But they
sidelines.
do
Cam,
that.
you're headed in. Like,
But my point is, whether he's on the field or not, they take the ball out of his hands on 4th and short. They just do. And then they're just down a man on the field because he's there doing nothing. They put Kelsey
But there's
or
a little
Blake Bell.
deceptiveness.
It's not that deceptive
Well,
when
but there's
Travis
still a
Kelce takes the
possibility he might get the ball.
I
Whereas if
understand,
you
but
put Cam
there
in,
will
you know
be a
what's coming.
possibility if you put Cam on the field. There's a possibility he's going to throw it. It's not like 100%.
Is there?
I don't think there is.
Guys, they need a goal line. It's the only spot for him.
I don't.
It's the only
I don't
spot
hate
for him. But can I tell you when Brew really agrees with something I say? When he says I don't hate it. That's the closest I get
nice.
to verification.
I like that.
That's more than I get
Good
from
news,
you.
bro. Your Warriors. They beat the Rockets last night.
I almost brought out the sunglasses.
Oh,
Goodness gracious.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.